Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wimpy Studio. Today I am here with a new episode of the Wimpy Studio News and Reviews podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty, the first 2 episodes of Season 3, as well as the new teaser trailer for Stranger Things Season 5, and then the last 3 episodes of Stick. Not the finale. The finale doesn't come out until this coming Wednesday. I'll be reviewing that next week. That'll just be a short segment at the end. Today I'm mostly going to be talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty with a shorter segment on Stranger Things and then a small segment at the end for Stick. But yeah, so The Summer I Turned Pretty, we've been waiting 2 years for this, for the new season, and then it was really announced it was the final season. I think a lot of people had really high expectations that, this would be like the best season ever, best television that they've watched. I see some people saying that, like, I'm more excited for this show than I have for any other show in the past decade, going off like that. And I do think you're kind of setting the bar kind of high. I mean, I was really looking forward to season 3 for it to start, but I think these first 2 episodes, I was looking forward to them. I knew they weren't going to be like this legendary, thing. Like, I knew they were probably going to be like good episodes, but not like great episodes, because, usually the first few episodes of a season, not like they're just average, because I think saying average is kind of harsh, but they're just not as great as usually what the rest of the season turns out to be. I think this was the case here. I think we're at the very beginning of book 3, the story that they're telling there, and we have to get through a lot of plot to really get to the meat of the book. There wasn't a slow start to the season by any means. It's just they had to pack so much, and I kind of wonder, did they know they were releasing 2 episodes at a time? Because it really, these first 2 episodes have so much packed into them. It really takes you in for a whirlwind of emotions. So I kind of wonder, did they mean to release these at the same time to really be like, you've waited 2 years, here's 2 episodes, 2 hours of content, there you go, dissect it, do whatever you want with it. And, they weren't light episodes either. Like, I think about the first 3 episodes of The Summer I Turned, or of season 2, were really, there was a lot to unpack, and they released those all at once. So this kind of reminded me of that, except I feel like there is even more to unpack for these first 2 episodes. I'm looking forward to getting into all of it. I like the first 2 episodes. I think there's things I didn't love, story direction, things that they did differently from the books, like a few things, a few storylines I'm a bit iffy about, but overall it was nice to see our favorite characters again. Not seeing us back in Cousins. I wish I could say that, but we're not in Cousins, except for a flashback in episode 2. But let's just kind of jump right in. We'll talk about episode 1, and then we'll go into 2. And I might mix and match a little bit. So obviously, if you have not seen the first 2 episodes, spoilers are ahead. Go and watch before you listen to this, unless you want to be spoiled, and be my guest. So basically, we start off with a flashback. Not really like a flashback, whatever. It's like basically like a year after season 2 ended, and Belly is moving into Finch. Jeremiah's there. He's been there for a year. He's a year older. And Taylor is going to Finch. We find out that Steven and Taylor are on this on and off again relationship. Laurel tells Belly, don't limit yourself, for Jeremiah. And then we cut to 3 years later, and her and Jeremiah are still together. Steven and Taylor are still on and off, and Conrad is in California at Stanford in med school. So a lot has changed, but then again, not much has changed when it comes to some of our characters. I think the biggest change is Conrad, who I'm actually going to start off with talking about him, because I loved Conrad in these first 2 episodes more than I ever have in the show. And I've talked about this before. Conrad's never been my favorite character because he doesn't communicate what he's feeling until it's either too late, or he does it in a shitty way. Like, he's like, oh, I didn't mean that, or, it wasn't true. He makes an excuse to hide his feelings, and then once or twice will be fine, but he's done it over and over again that it really became tiring of me to watch. So I kind of got tired of his character. and I was kind of done with his character by the time season 2 wrapped up and Belly had chosen Jeremiah. I'm like, he kind of did that to himself. And I get it. He was grieving his mom. I get he was going through a lot. I just did not love that they wrote his character like that. Like, so indecisive, couldn't communicate what he was feeling. It just didn't make me want to root for that couple. So now we cut to season 3, and he has changed dramatically. Like, he's going to therapy. He's working through his stuff. We actually get to hear what he's feeling instead of him keeping it all in. I love that he went to therapy. In fact, his therapist reminded me a lot of one I've had recently, who I've liked a lot. Just like, he easy to talk to, offers good advice, a little bit of humor, like that perfect therapist. And I like that scene. I don't know if we'll see more of him in therapy. Probably not, because we're going to be going back to cousins. But another thing I loved was his friend Agnes. And in the books, Agnes is like a fling who dumps him after she finds out he's still in love with Belly. It basically goes something like that. So in the show, we find out that they did flirt with the idea previously, but now they're just friends because Conrad wasn't looking for that. So are we to assume he didn't date anyone for the 4 years? I think so, which is a little bit concerning that he is still holding on to her 4 years later. I think I would have maybe had him, I don't know, maybe have I don't know. I think I would have liked him to at least say he's had a few girlfriends. I guess Agnes, maybe they did date. It didn't, to me, it didn't sound like anything serious. So it is a bit weird that he is still pining over Belly 4 years later, and he hasn't dated anyone. I find that kind of odd. But beyond that, though, he gets accepted into this med school program. Him and Agnes both do. But he, this garden ceremony, for Susanna, he doesn't know if he wants to go to it because on one hand, he wants to honor his mom. On the other, he can't see Belly because it's all going to come pouring out, his feelings and all of that. And he just can't go through that again and seeing, Belly and Jer together. So he kind of uses him getting into the program as like a way to get out of going. And then at the end, he tells Jer, hey, I can't go. And, you'll have to write the speech. So I'm really curious to see how this all turns out. And I'll talk about Conrad in episode 2 in a second. But just from this first episode, a scene that really stood out to me was that scene in the bar with Agnes, where she asks him, have you ever been in love? And he said, once. And, says, we don't really meet. We just kind of always knew each other. And there wasn't a particular moment where he knew it was love. It's just one day during one moment he woke up. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but it was a really great monologue from Chris, and you could really just feel his sympathy for him in that moment. The flashback, which was Good Luck Babe, was playing, and I love that song. It was the perfect song as he poured out his love for Belly in this monologue to Agnes. And we got the flashback to the 4th of July, which would have been, I guess, probably, right after Belly and Jared got together. And Conrad had to witness, them lovey-dovey and all over each other. And then Steven and Taylor were also there. So he was fifth wheeling, which sucks. I've fifth wheeled before. It sucks. So I felt really bad for him. And it was pretty inconsiderate for Belly and Jared to be all over him, because when Belly and Conrad were together the first time, they had, a little bit of, PDA, but nothing major, nothing like what Belly and Jer were doing. And the funny thing was that Jer was like, I don't want to be around if you guys are going to be like this. And meanwhile, Conrad didn't say anything, which I guess kind of makes sense. Jer's a bit more outspoken. He says what he thinks. Conrad keeps it all in. So it makes sense for their characters. I just think Conrad, deserved a bit better than just sitting there eating watermelon. It's just sitting there, I think I felt bad for him there. And, obviously I felt bad for him when his mom died. But during that moment, I felt the most sympathy for him. And I felt like I could relate to his character, partly because of how good of a job Chris did with that monologue. And he was great in these first 2 episodes, by the way. He was the best. He performed the best out of all the cast. But like I just enjoyed having him on my screen. And that bar scene with Agnes, which they deteriorated so much from the book, where it ended with Agnes like storming off and dumping him. The same dialogue. It's just um, I think they made it a bit deeper in this, and they had the flashback. They had the perfect song. I thought it was a really good scene, probably one of my favorites from these two episodes. So let's talk Steven and Taylor, and then we'll talk Belly and Jer. So Steven and Taylor, like I said, have been in an on and off again relationship. Well, turns out they're both dating other people 4 years later, and they're cheating with each other on their partners. Now, the trailers did not say they were doing this. I just thought they were on and off and maybe like, casually seeing other people in the midst of it. I didn't think there was full on cheating going on. And let me just say, I love Steven and Taylor together, but I can't support cheating, and it got really old, especially after episode 1, because like they kept cutting back to them and showing these cute moments, but there's the cheating of it all. And like they got together at the end of season 2, and it's like you couldn't just let them be together before introducing like a messy plot. Like the first time we see them after this, they're cheating with each other, and it's like not a great introduction to that relationship, especially because they're popular, but a lot of people liked him with Shayla, and I did too. But like they went in the Taylor direction, and I got down for that. And then we cut to this, and I'm like, we waited 2 years for Steven and Taylor, and we're getting them cheating. I'm like, it's just disappointing to me. And the same argument could be made for Belly and Jer, but they had pre-existing stuff that I can kind of cut some slack for that plot, or for that writing. But here for the Steven and Taylor plot, I was just disappointed that's just where we went from them happily together, and that's like the last time we saw them, and then we got this 4 years later. And it's not even like Taylor is like a junior in college, ending off her junior year, and Steven has graduated. Like, bruh, like you guys are old enough to know that this is not okay. Like this stuff in high school you can kind of excuse. I mean, it's still not okay, but you can kind of excuse it. But you guys are like, Steven's graduated from college. Like, don't you know what you're doing is wrong? Clearly not. Yeah, so I was disappointed in that plot line. I mean, again, cute moments. I just couldn't get invested in them when they were cheating. I lost, though. I liked Belly and Steven's conversation. I think they have like a fun brother-sister duo that we just haven't seen enough. And I'm hoping we get more of that in season 3. And what else? I like the dynamic between Belly, Taylor, and Annika, who's Belly's roommate, I'm pretty sure, and how there's kind of this tension between Taylor and Annika, which, again, like if they've been in the same circle for 3 years or whatever, you would think why would there still be this tension? Like the tension to me just seems that they, Annika, like is friends with Belly, and Taylor kind of wants, like there's just like that little friend tension that we've seen, not like seen here before, but I've seen before, where you guys aren't really friends, but you have the same friend. It's kind of that thing. But maybe Annika's a newer friend. I mean, the room sign said Jillian was Belly's roommate, so it's possible Jillian like moved out. I mean, it looked like Annika was Belly's roommate there, so I don't know why it said Jillian. That was kind of odd to me. So I don't know why there was tension. Like the Taylor and Annika tension seemed like year 1 tension, not year 3 tension. Again, I think the time jump was a bit too much in the future, was my only thing. But I get that they wanted to get Conrad in med school. Like, I get that. That was probably why they moved it that much. But still, it was like, I don't think 4 years was the right decision for me personally. I think they could have done 2 years. I think it was a 2-year time jump in book 3. I think that would have been better for the show, for me personally. Let's talk Belly and Jer. So they've been together for 4 years. And, not much has changed. I mean, they're they just spend a lot of time together. They're around each other a lot, maybe a bit too much. They both have these pretty significant life changes, though, pretty quickly. Belly finds out that she got off the wait list for study abroad in Paris, and Jer finds out that he's not graduating because he forgot to take a few core classes for his major, which wasn't a thing in the books. The Paris thing for Belly was, but Jer not graduating was never a thing. And I'm like, why do they add this in? Like, it makes Jer look kind of dumb. And I guess it probably fits for what they're trying to tell with his character is that he's a party animal. He doesn't try hard enough. Like, I get what they're trying to sell for him. I'm just like, what? Like, it's just weird. And I'm like, your advisor should be telling you, hey, you missed these classes, you need to take them. And also, you should be able to knock them out in summer school. Why do you have to stay another semester? I don't know. It's just like, to me, the Team Conrad fans were like all over saying how dumb he was for that. And granted, they kind of have a point. Like, you should have known. Like, and he forgot to check an email, was what we find out. An email, probably an email from his advisor. So now I take that back. I just forgot about that little detail. I should have remembered that. But yeah, no, that's all Jer's fault. I mean, maybe his advisor should have brought it up to him again if Jer forgot to check the email. But he's a senior in college. Like, you can't be coddled like that. Speaking of coddling, I do agree with the argument that Belly was mothering him throughout these 2 episodes, especially episode 1. And she even says, when Susanna died, I made a promise to always be there for him. So you kind of wonder, is the only reason she's staying with Jer is because Susanna wanted her to end up with one of her kids, and that she thinks because Conrad lives on the other side of the country that he's no longer an option for her, and that she thinks that'll never work, so she's staying with Jer because it's easier. I think it's exactly that. I think Susanna would have been fine if Belly, I think she is, they're all still grieving Susanna, Belly as well, and her way of honoring her is to end up with one of her boys because that's what she wanted. But Susanna wouldn't have cared if she ended up with someone else. It's just what, that's where Belly's at. That's where she landed with her grief, was to stay true to her promise to be there for Jer. So that's partly why she's been mothering him. But it's a little bit icky to see because I don't like those relationships. And I've seen them in real life too, where the girl mothers the guy, and I've even see it where the guy fathers the girl, and it's just weird dynamics that are just not healthy at all. So not really a fan of that part of their relationship. However, there were a lot of cute moments between them. I will give them that. The 3-legged race was a cute moment between them. What else? Let's see. At the party, when we get to the party, and he supports her and, says you deserve to go to Paris to study abroad. I thought that was a great scene. The scene where they dance at the party, that was a really sweet scene. Before I get to the big reveal at the party, though, I do want to say something interesting here is that when it comes to that scene between Jer and Adam on the phone, I think Adam, while he shouldn't have compared him to Conrad, he had a point that now Adam, is $20,000 in debt to pay for another semester for Jer, which I'm like, again, couldn't he just take those in summer school? I guess not. I guess there's too many of them, or they're required to be taken in person, I guess. I just feel like you would probably be able to do those in summer school to me, but I guess not. I think Adam had a point there, but, I think Jer was kind of with the Conrad thing, once he said the Conrad thing, he just, went all in on blaming his dad and wouldn't take accountability for his own mistake with not checking the email. I think that was kind of what happened, which it was a shitty thing for his dad to say. I just kind of wish Jer took accountability for, that mistake, but I don't know. I assume we'll see some resolution. My guess is that Jer is going to have to work at his dad's internship to make up for that money. I think that's what is going to happen because we already know he will be working at the internship later on. I guess kind of a spoiler, but not really. I don't know. We'll see. So let's talk about the party. We all knew it was coming. We meet Lacey Barone, who studied abroad in Paris as well. So Belly kind of wants to find out, some stuff from her about that experience. Jer's very much wanting to get her away from Lacey, and then we find out later, and the exact same scene for the book. Belly while she's in the bathroom, she overhears outside the door Lacey revealing her and Jeremiah hooked up in Cabo. Belly is shocked, goes to confront Jer. He admits it's true. She slaps him. They argue outside. He says it didn't mean anything to me. She says it means something to me. I've only ever been with one other person. Ouch. And she runs off. So, she says, we can't get it back. Not after this. And she runs off. So, yeah. It's like crazy. Things can change in the matter of 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, maybe in the story. Things can change just like that. Like everything change in that moment. The effects will linger, and then you might say, oh, none of it mattered by the end of episode 2. I mean, true, but I think the effects will linger. I do kind of wonder in this case, if they just released the first episode, that would be a crazy way to end it on. But instead we got 2 episodes, and we kind of, saw her taken back already, spoiler alert, by the end of episode 2. But crazy way to end episode 1. It was kind of like that. You knew it was coming, but still, it was such a punch to the gut for me as a Jelly fan, which I'll talk about at the end, which team I'm still on, but such a punch in the gut for me to see that. Okay, so let's jump into episode 2. So let's start out with the Steven and Taylor plotline, because they have a pretty big plotline in this episode. First of all, I should have mentioned this earlier, but Steven graduated from Princeton, and he's working at Adam as an intern. We're with Adam as an intern, and one of the workers there, Denise, and him kind of have this butting heads dynamic. She's kind of on his toes because she doesn't think he's taking this seriously enough. She doesn't want any personal relationship. It's just kind of like, you can tell there's going to be something between these two. And spoiler alert, with how things end with Steven and Taylor in this episode, I think we will see something between Steven and Denise. And we know Denise is a series regular, so she's sticking around and she'll have a bigger role in the story. But basically, Steven wants things to be more serious, so much so that he breaks up with Mia for Taylor. Now, Taylor's not willing to break up with Davis at first because she just wants this to be casual, which, is interesting to say the least. And Steven's like, you're the only girl I want to be with. And this all takes place while they're driving in a car. So the emotions run high to the point where Taylor can't take it anymore, and she yells at Steven to let her out of the car. So he lets her out, and then he does a U-turn and crashes into an oncoming car. So while Taylor is right there, I know that would suck to see your partner, boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, getting hit, when you're right there. And you weren't even in the car, so you can't even say you share that experience. No, she didn't cause the accident. Steven should have checked it that there was a car coming, but still, I think her immaturity was part of the reason, because that really messed with Steven's head, that he couldn't think straight when he had to turn the car around. He was super pissed off. So I think that's part of it too. So we cut to the hospital. Belly's there, and her and Taylor kind of console each other. Some nice moments between the two of them, by the way, that close friendship. We cut to the scene at the hospital bed where Taylor says, I'm worried that one day you're going to not want me and think, I'm not good enough and that I'm not worth it. And she's like, I love you so much. Basically pouring her heart out to him and apologizing for being wishy-washy before. As much as I like that scene, I guess, seeing a more emotional Taylor, I want to think it's a too little too late. It's just she should have said this a long time ago. And she said that at the end of season 2. She's like, I'm scared at what a relationship with me and you might look like. She said that 4 years ago. And now she still has that mindset that she's too scared. You would think 4 years down the road, you would be you would get past that fear. And, you would think that, they would be worth it to each other. You wouldn't still be worried that he would think that you weren't worth it. I'm like, maybe 2 years later, maybe there's still that fear, but 4 years later, like, you would think they would have gotten over that, unless there's more of the story and like Steven did something to really hurt Taylor in this time. We don't know about it. That's the only explanation I can think of. Because, I mean, I guess part of Taylor's journey has been that she can't trust, a guy. We saw that with Milo, and then we saw that with Steven. Maybe that's something that has just always lingered with her, and they've been on and off. Maybe, they both did things that they messed up, and she was scared. I just think that I would have much rather seen Taylor and Steven have a different storyline, and not one with the same issue of her, being scared to be with him. And then, of course, adding in the cheating. I'm just like, they did them dirty. Like, and then he woke up and he's like, you were right. We're not good together. And I'm like, yes, like, yeah, like, and I think they are good together. It just at this moment, they're not. They're cheating with other people. Well, Taylor still is. Stephen broke up with his girlfriend, but they're cheating with other people, and that is effed up. And he recognizes that, and, he's like, I've never been able to think straight when it comes to you. And, she was ready to pour her feelings out, but she is like, basically, you just said that I'm not worth it. And I'm like, that's not what he said. It's just when you yell at him in the car and treat him like that, obviously he's going to think that. Like, if you really, really loved him, you should have said there, like, no, this is how I feel. But she didn't. And granted, she was hurt, I know. But I don't put any fault on Steven in this situation. I think he basically did everything right after he broke up with Mia. Like, basically, he handled the situation perfectly. He was honest with Taylor. She rejected him, and it was just too late. Like, he was like, we're not good together. And I do think they'll get back together, but it won't be for a while. I think they're going to take some time apart and reflect and grow. At least that's what I hope. So, okay. So yeah, obviously the Steven car accident was like the catalyst for a lot of things in this episode. I'm like, I wasn't expecting it to happen this early on. I thought it'd be like a mid to end of season thing, but they did it, and I think the ramifications of the car accident will be huge for Steven and Taylor, but also for some other storylines that I'm going to get into. Let's talk Conrad. So he starts at the med school. We meet Dr. Namazi, who's strict. A strict doctor. Agnes is kind of showing up Conrad a bit, being a little goody two shoes and making Conrad look a bit like he doesn't know what he's doing there. And then we have Conrad finding out that Steven got into the wreck, and he asked Dr. Namazi for a favor to reach out to the Providence Center. I don't remember the name of the hospital, to reach out to there and see if she can get him like someone good there to treat Steven. And she says she'll, see what she can do. And do you need to take the day off? And he says no. Well, later he mislabels a thing of medicine, and she fires him, saying, you let your emotions get the better of you and you're not ready for this. Do I think it was a little harsh? Yeah, but they have already established that she was a hard teacher. And in that field, you can't make screw-ups like that, because he mislabeled that. If they would have looked at it and been like, okay, this is the label is on this. This is what we need, and then they give it to the patient and they die over it. Like, you just don't know. Like, that could have put the patient at risk. So she had a point there. And later on, Agnes said, you need to take better control of your emotions because they'll run you and not the other way around, which was such a great point from her that I hope, Conrad, he's shown a lot of growth, but clearly he can still grow in that department. And I hope he will listen to his feelings and emotions more, because you guys know I'm really big on mental health and that saying that your feelings matter. And I hope Conrad kind of wrestles with that and ends up taking that to heart sooner rather than later, so I can root for him and Belly together. It's more than just that. I want him to be able to get to a good place in his character arc. Okay, John and Laurel. They're at this, like, writing workshop professor. Like, I don't really know what they're at, but basically they end up hooking up. So the trailer hinted at them getting back together. I didn't think they would like that would be something that would happen this early on. I don't think they're getting back together. Like, I don't think there was ever love there. Belly said so herself. She didn't think her mom would care if the dad cheated on her. Like, she didn't think she would care. So, you know, if that's the case, then obviously, like, there wasn't love there, at least from Laurel. Like, you know, Susanna was her soulmate, and they probably liked each other more than friends, if we're being honest. That's what they were hinting at before she died, especially. So, you know, I don't see them. I just think it would be weird. And I know that Cleveland's not on the show anymore, and I think they made a cute match. I don't know. It's 50-50. I don't think they'll get back together, but if they want like an easy and happy ending for Laurel, then they might just do that. But, you know, it wasn't really necessary, but, you know, to give Laurel something to do, I guess, was why they put that in the episode. Let's talk about Belly and Jared to end things off. And then I'll talk a little bit about the Christmas flashback and kind of my feelings on the triangle. So, let's get into it. First of all, Olivia Rodrigo's played at the beginning of the episode, and it was like, oh, that hit me in the feels. I saw people speculating they would use that song, and they did. They opened up the episode right with that song, and it was hard to listen to, but it was like that was perfect placement for that song. So we get the flashback of the when they broke up right before spring break. We find out that he didn't tell her he was going to Cabo, and you know, he says he just wants to have some fun, let loose. You know, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not some, like, overachieving med school student like Conrad. She says, don't put your inferiority complex on me. Started with your dad. Just this huge argument that leads to them breaking up. I have a theory on why Jer was like this, and I'll talk about that later. But they broke up. He goes to Cabo. He comes back. They make up. He almost tells her about Lacey, but he doesn't. Taylor, you know, chews him out, saying he's a traitor, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was nice to see Taylor, you know, because we've never seen her gang up on Jer like that, because she's admits, I was the CEO of Team Jeremiah. We haven't seen her get on Jer's case like that until now, and it was valid. And Jer brings up the whole cheating thing and rubs it back into her face and says, that's not what we're talking about right now. Like, you cheated. Like, this is the matter here. My personal opinion, I don't think it's cheating. Like, I think there's an issue that he would move on to someone else so quickly. And I get that, like, mistakes happen. But here's the thing. It happened twice. And in the book, it was one time. Here, it's twice. Why was it twice? I don't know. I don't know why they made it twice. Was it just so they can make it a little different from the... Like, I don't think that's something they needed to change, because, you know, they should have, in my opinion, they should have just left it as a mistake, a one-time mistake that Jer made, instead of making it 2 times. Now, was it 2 times back-to-back? Possibly. That doesn't matter, though. It's still... Whether it's cheating or not, it's still wrong. He did it twice, and he hid the truth from her. That is what's wrong here. And, you know, he keeps begging and begging, and I just got tired of it. Like, Jer, you can, you know, people say it's out of character for him. People say it's in character for him. I think there's points to be made for both sides of that argument. It was just still disappointing to see that he did what he did. I was upset. I think... I talked to a friend who said that she was Team Jer, but she can't excuse the cheating, and I agree with her. It's just too far, and it's too much right off the bat too. Like, you know, I wanted to see happy Belly and Jer. We got that for an episode, and then we're here. It's like a drastic shift, and it's not really satisfying to see. Now, for the Bonrads, this is very satisfying to see this whole Belly and Jer ordeal go down. But basically, Jared kind of seeks advice from Redbird, his friend. I didn't talk about him before. He's not as cocky as I thought it would be, but the season's still young. We could definitely see more of that. But he just says, stop apologizing and, go and get your girl, and that it's not supposed to be easy. So that's kind of what Jared decides to do, and that's when he reveals that him and Lacey hooked up twice. And then by the end of it, he stays at the hospital all night when, Stephen gets in the wreck to be there for Belly. And then the next day, she forgives him for what he did, and he proposes to her. So now it's not a shock, from the book, but still, I'm like, whoa, like, and she kind of like, it's not even like she's not taken aback by it. She kind of initiates it, the proposal. Like, what? Like, I talked with my sister about this. I'm like, do you think she would have taken him back if Steven hadn't just gotten into that wreck and, she didn't say life's too short not to spend it with the person you love? She says, I don't think she would have taken him back. And I don't think so either. I think she would have probably broken up with him, like, if Steven hadn't gotten in that wreck. But that really changed everything, and Taylor kind of pushed her to go back to Jer. So that's why she did. And I'm sure she's going to regret it. Like, I hope she regrets it, because, I mean, from the trailers, it seems like she's happy with him. It's just, to me, if I was in Belly's shoes, I would have still broken up with him, even after the Steven thing. Like, you hooked up with a girl twice and didn't tell me. Like, maybe it wasn't cheating. Like, you guys were broken up. And, one time is a mistake. Twice, though, it's just, yeah. So I think a breakup would have been completely valid. And instead, she initiated them getting back together and kind of initiated the proposal too. He didn't get down on one knee. He didn't have a ring. It was like stupid. It was a stupid proposal. I couldn't even be happy about it. Even with Benson Boone playing in the background, I still couldn't be happy about the proposal, because I'm like, there wasn't anything genuine about that. Even though Belly was faking that there was nothing, because of how it originated. Like, it was just like, and I get it. They followed the book, and they had Steven's accident kind of be the catalyst for this to happen. Instead of just Jerry using it as an excuse to get Belly to forgive him, they gave Belly more agency here, which is slightly better than just making her seem clueless and oblivious to Jerry's manipulation, which is less present in the show, I would say. But still, at this point, we're not rooting for Jerry, because, again, whether he cheated or not, he hid the truth from her, and that's wrong. So while I want to be happy about Belly and Jerry getting engaged, I just can't be because of the context of it. Now, we get Christmas flashbacks. This happened the most recent Christmas, and Belly and Conrad are at the cousin's house together. It starts off a little awkward, but then she trips down the stairs one morning and he helps her up, and then they kind of just start bonding from there. They watch movies together, they do crosswords together, they kind of reminisce about their relationship in their heads, especially, of course, from Bella's point of view, because she's the narrator. The Mystery of Love by, I forget the artist's name, but it was a nice touch to go in the background of that scene. And then she wakes up, she sees the crossword laying out on the table, and he's gone, and she fills in the blank saying, I still love you. So that's huge. We kind of knew that. She said, a part of me will always love you. Like, we know that. But, seeing, like, she still loves him. Conrad still loves her. It's bound to happen. They're endgame. We know that. Like, this episode 2 proved it to me. Like, there's no doubt in my mind anymore. Not that there really ever was before, but like they proved it to me. They sold it to me that they are endgame. There's no turning back from a Bond ride endgame now. Now, here's the thing, is that I never could get invested in the Belly and Conrad relationship because Conrad couldn't communicate his feelings. That was the main reason. And I liked Jer more. He was honest about his feelings. He made moves. He was a go-getter. He went after what he wanted. Those traits were more appealing to me. But now that we have a Conrad who's more than know about his feelings, he's working through it, he's maturing, I could definitely be on board with that version of him being with Belly. And I actually watched a fan edit, which had that same song that was playing in the background of that scene. And it was the first time I genuinely felt invested in their relationship. Like, this scene and then seeing the edit, the same song, maybe it's the song, who knows. I'm like, wow, like, have I been hating on these two together? I mean, I still, like, again, I haven't felt anything. Like, I could go back and watch the first two seasons and still not feel anything for them. But those Christmas scenes and the fan edit, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are you turning me into a Bonrad show? Like, enough with that. Like, I'm supposed to be Team Jelly. But here's the thing. I'm not Team Jelly anymore. I can't be Team Jelly. I want to be Team Jelly, but I can't. Not just because of the cheating. It's the fact that there is so, like, she's coddling him. She's mothering him. He's hiding things from her. They're on different paths. Even the few cute moments they can't take back. He proposes to her right after she forgives him. Like, the list just keeps going on, and it, like, for a relationship I fell in love with, especially in season 2, but the first 2 seasons, like, I love them together, and then you do this, like, you write it like that, and I know it's the point, but still, like, I can't be Team Jelly anymore. I see a lot of people being like, these weren't the best 2 episodes for us, but we're not holding out hope. We're enjoying what we get. And I just can't. Like, I can't live in denial about what's on screen in front of me, what direction they're taking Jer's character, where they're clearly going with Bonrad. I can't be in denial over that. I know what's going to happen. And I felt something for Bonrad. And I felt a little bit for Jelly, but, like, I couldn't because I knew what was coming. And I saw Jer's character take a drastic turn to the worse in these 2 episodes. So am I a Team Bonrad? Not yet. No, I'm not. I need to see them actually. I need to see more of them. I need to see him being honest with her and communicating with her. That's the biggest thing. I need to see a satisfying ending to Jelly. There's a lot of things I need to see before I can get on board with Bonrad, but they are sending me in the right direction, because if I didn't think I would feel anything during that Christmas scene. I just didn't think I would. I thought I thought I would have to lie to myself to get invested in a Bonrad. And they're starting to genuinely get me invested in them. So if they continue down this track, I think I will be. I hope. Because I want to, be invested in whatever couple ends up together. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to try to give them a chance, and I just can't support Jelly anymore. I can't. I want to, but he cheated twice. That's the thing. He cheated twice, and he hid it from her, and he proposed to her. Maybe if he hadn't proposed to her yet, and it wasn't until next episode, I would maybe be a little bit more invested, but then I would knew what was coming. That's the thing. When you're writing from a book to a show, you know what's going to happen. So it doesn't even matter anymore by the end of it. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So good first 2 episodes. Looking forward to episode 3 on Wednesday. Now, on the same day as The Summer I Turned Pretty, they released the official teaser for Stranger Things Season 5. Now, they packed a lot into this teaser. I'm going to talk about a few things here. It was way more than we got in the date announcement, for sure. They had pretty much every signature character involved in this teaser. We're seeing the whole gang back together, which is so satisfying to me. After seeing them separated for all of season 4, I think that's something we needed. We needed to see we needed to see the party back together. We needed to see just our favorite dynamics and groups back together. We have been waiting so long. We've been waiting 3.5 years, and we're finally getting it. It looks like it's going to be a Will-focused season again, just like seasons 1 and part of mostly 2 were. I'm looking forward to that because I do like Will's character a lot, and I'm curious to see where his storyline goes with his sexuality and also him being that closest connection to Vecna. They set that up at the end of season 4, and even that shot with him touching the back of his neck, that tells me it's not going away. That's going to be the main, the Vecna's whole thing is it's going to be attached to Will. That's what's going to happen. So I'm kind of playing the teaser here, looking at key moments. We're seeing more military. we're seeing Eddie's grave saying burn in hell. So that plot line's not over. Which is, we kind of figured it wouldn't be, because like Eddie was such a huge part of Dustin's story in season 4 in general, that they're gonna of course continue that into season 5. Now, do I think Eddie will make a cameo? I think so. I think they're gonna bring back several past characters to do a cameo. I think they're going to do that. And I think Eddie will be included because, one, Joseph Quinn, this was a big breakout role for him. He's actually in Fantastic Four, which comes out next week. But like, this is huge. It was huge for him to be on Stranger Things and to be such a beloved character too, with such a sad death, that they're going to get him back for season 5. They have to. Like, if they don't, I will be disappointed. Maybe not as much so as some other people, but they just kind of have to me, bring him back in. For like, they don't have to resurrect him. I just want to see like a dream sequence or something with him. I feel like we have to have that. Lucas and Max in the hospital, I kind of wonder how long we'll see them there. I'm curious. We see this timer going off. This like, not even a timer, it's like these numbers, like it's leading all the way to the very end, where it reaches what, 10,000, like it goes from to 100. Like, we're seeing going, what does it start with? It starts, I think the first numbers we see, let me see what the first numbers we see are. The first numbers we see are the starting with the 3s, and then it leads to the 10s. So the timer is like a nice touch. It keeps going up throughout the entire teaser. So I do like that about it. Let's see. So we have a really cool shot with Dustin, Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy together looking at, what are they looking at? Sorry, I'm kind of disorganized here. A shot with them, and they're at like this like factory in the Upside Down. That looks really sick. I'm looking forward to that scene with the 4 of them teaming up. We see Will, Dustin, Lucas, and Mike together as the party. I love that. We haven't seen a scene with them since season 3. I'm looking forward to that a lot. Joyce, a shot of Joyce and Hopper. Love to see that. 11 and Mike, a shot of them together. Jonathan and Nancy talking. I'm looking forward to more of them, because we barely, of course, got any in season 4 because they were separated. So I am hoping for more scenes between them. I'm not talking about the love triangle here. We'll talk about that more when it gets closer this season, what I think is going to happen there, because they don't hint at it much here. 11's wearing like a ski mask. We see a shot of Linda Hamilton in her role, and she looks pretty badass if you ask me. We see someone flying through the sky. I can't tell. That's either Will or Mike flying through the sky. We see that shot of 11 and Hopper at that big wall with like all that slimy stuff that looks really disgusting. I'm sorry. We see Dustin and Steve together. We see a lot of these demigorgons. We see a shot of Lucas looks like breaking Max out of the hospital, and they're hiding from a demigorgon. So I kind of wonder, are they going to get infiltrated by these at the hospital and he's going to have to save her? I think we'll probably see something like that, because again, we're bleeding the 2 worlds together, and at some point they'll collide, and we'll probably see those demigorgons take over the hospital. I think we'll definitely see that. They're obviously hinting at it. Again, a lot of military like gun sequences going on here. Dustin and Steve together. A lot of demigorgons again. Will fainting. I'm worried about him. There's probably like, I'm 50-50 whether he dies or not. I'm not sure. One of the most interesting shots here is Karen and Holly in a tub. It looks like they're hiding from something. I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't bode well for them, just saying. Nancy washing blood off her fingers. Do we think that like that's either Jonathan that dies, maybe? Or like something happens with, maybe that's related to the Karen and Holly thing. I don't know. I'm worried. Like I'm obviously a few main characters are gonna die. I just don't know who. That shot of her is like startling though, of her washing her hands and crying in the mirror. Let's see. Dustin and Steve hugging. Are they gonna kill off Steve? Like, again, I don't know. Like, it could be Steve, it could be Jonathan, it could be one like Karen or Holly. I mean, it could be Will. Like, I don't know who they're gonna kill off. Just please, I want it to be New Year's Eve already, so I know who's dead, so I can grieve. That's just the way I see it. I can't get all this 6 months in advance and expect me to be fine. Just give it to me now, please. That's the way I see it. What else do we have here? I love the 11. We're getting 11 and Hopper together again. We need that. I love that dynamic between them. We need that. Let's see. 11 going into like the water tank. We saw that in season 4. We're getting more of that. I think that's really cool. Robin and Murray together is going to be a funny duo. I'm looking forward to that. A lot of these just like slow shots, right? Like fast shots right here. Erica with like a needle. I don't know. Elle flying. Elle flying is crazy. She's going to be getting flying powers. Wow. And then of course Vecna being revealed at the end is huge. And saying found you. Again, one of the most scary, I guess, villains I've seen on Stranger Things and also just in a show before in general. I'm looking forward to season 5, guys. It comes out the day before Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then New Year's Eve. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Before we end off, let's talk about Stick. So I watched episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I liked episode 7 with the flashbacks, or not flashbacks, and then the dream sequence that Price had about his son Jet who died. I liked all of that and gave us a better glimpse into his world and his trauma. I like that. We also do see the gang come back together. After it's revealed that Price and Zero had their deal, we get the gang coming back together. It didn't last very long. It was kind of a bit of a rushed reconciliation, but I don't take anything in this show too seriously. It's not that. I mean, I'm less invested. Sure, it's a good comedic show, much different than The Summer I Turned Pretty or Stranger Things. It's completely different from the two of them. It gives me some laughs. It's like an average like golf show with like funny characters and some romance and golf. That's the show. It has Owen Wilson in it, and if he wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't be watching this because he's just such a good actor and he's funny. So, but we also had this whole kind of filler episode with them and Clark Ross infiltrating him. Wasn't a big fan of that episode. I liked episode 9 a lot. It was a good episode because we got to see they go to this big kind of commercialized golf tournament. I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. And Axel from Cobra Kai is in it. A little bit of a shout out there. I knew I recognized him. He looked way older. They didn't de-age him to look like a teenager. He looked like his age, which is probably like early 30s, if I'm being honest. But alas, Mitz and Elena kiss, so that's clearly, we'll see how it all but ends off with what happens at the end. Price and Amberlynn almost have sex. They kiss, but Price decides it's not the right choice to make, and he needs to move forward and not backwards. That was nice for his character to make that decision, because in Cobra Kai, if this was the same show as Cobra Kai, that means that Price would have gotten with Elena, and they took a different approach. They didn't make his story all about romance. They made it about redemption, and Johnny's was about redemption and then the romance with Carmen. But I'm liking that they're not rushing into any romantic storyline for Price. And maybe that'll be something for season 2 if we get it. But of course, the ending is Santi's dad re-enters the picture. We knew it was coming. I thought it was going to be a season 1 cliffhanger, but they did it in episode 9. And they hug, which is way more than I would have expected, considering how rocky the relationship seemed to be. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious what's gonna happen in the finale. Like, is Santi's dad gonna tear this team apart and they'll have to find their way back to each other in season 2? Maybe. Or I mean, they're clearly Mitch and Elaine are gonna. They're not gonna end on a good note, is my guess. There's gonna be an issue there because the dad's gonna want to get back with her. Like, there's gonna be a lot of drama in the finale for sure, and Mitch will probably end up heartbroken, and I think Santi and Zero will probably separate. I mean, maybe we'll be lucky and they'll end up together. I just think with the dad coming back, it opens up way more possibilities that I just can't predict how the season's going to end. But I'm looking forward to it. It comes out Wednesday. So let me know what you think down below about all 3 of these shows. I'll be back next week with The Summer I Turned Pretty and a few other things. So I will see you guys then. Bye, everyone.